Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Corey. If this is the second video you've watched, the first one is free. If you've come back for a second time or a third time, hit that subscribe button. It's a free service. I don't ask any payment from you except for you to take 2 seconds, hit that subscribe button, and then you never have to worry about it again. And I would very, very much appreciate it, as the channel helps a lot of people. I've had tons of people tell me that the channel helps them, just to know that they're not alone, that sense of camaraderie, knowing that there's other people out there struggling with something like KRATOM addiction and things like that. Give kind of blueprints on here on, the first step in, the addiction recovery process, which is what? First is getting off the drug, right? I mean, that's number one. Accepting that you need help with it and then getting off of it, okay? If you're looking for, long-term recovery tips, someone who's gonna, come on here and stay the NA and the AA course and stuff like that, I'm not gonna be your guy for that. And that's kind of a perfect segue into my first part of this discussion. So first off, I just want to give an update where I'm at. I am 16 days off of KRATOM at this point. I feel really, really good about that. With that said, now to the truth of the matter, okay? And the truth of the matter being that the last probably 3 to 4 days in particular, basically ever since day 13, and each subsequent day after that, leading up until today, have been pretty challenging. I talked about the last video how not feeding the pig, you get to a point where the pig is really starting to squeal in your ear, because you're starving it, right? You're starving the pig. And the pig is screaming at you like, please give me some food, please, you're killing me here. And your whole thing is, yeah, I'm trying to kill you. That's what I'm trying to do. But the pig, or AKA the addiction, does not go quietly. I'm not, 1,000% sure how it is for other people, but I'm just being completely transparent about that. It does not go quietly. Okay. And my last video, I kind of shared a pretty large dose of transparency. Just talking about whether I really see myself being completely off of KRATOM long term, forever, those sort of things. And my talk was more based around the fact that, probably not. I definitely want to stay off for a while, give my brain a chance to reset and heal, and, but that I may use it at some point in the future. Now, I want you guys to understand something. When you're going through this process and you're coming off of something like KRATOM, you have your good days, you have your bad days. You have your days where you just you have your days and your moments where you just kind of sail right on through. Everything's smooth sailing, not a lot of hiccups, not a lot of, regret in your decision to come off of said substance or KRATOM, whatever it is. And, you don't have a lot of triggers, stressors, things that are kind of tripping you up. Then there's the whole thing of the first week or two when you're recovering, there's kind of this pink cloud sort of phase where it's like, yeah, you're all gung-ho, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. You feel accomplished because you've gone 1, then 2, then 3 days, then a week, then you're working on your second week, and it's all this new sort of bliss of, this new lifestyle that you're starting to create for yourself. Then the pig starts to yell at you. At least for me, it's been my experience. The pig in the last 4 or 5 days, meaning the addiction itself, has really started to yell at me. And I was very transparent about that. But like I said, my last video, which was on this past Friday on my 13th day off of KRATOM, that was one of those days where it was kind of tough. I was kind of down here. So, you know, with that, you know, you guys were undoubtedly hearing some of that struggle and some of that doubt in my speech, right? You know, well, I don't know if I want to come off of it. I can't really say. You know, maybe that was me cutting out, going ahead and planting the seed and cutting out a scenario that gives myself an excuse to use again because I was struggling that day. Could be that. Could be that. Because now, 3 days later, 16 days off, not saying it's been easy, but, you know, I'm back to a point now where I'm really trying hard, and I'm going to continue to try hard to stay completely off of KRATOM. Because I know all of the, you know, some of it is a trick of the mind and a sickened mind and an altered state of mind that has become dependent upon a particular substance, you know, for living second to second, moment to moment, hour to hour, day to day, you know, and it's really easy when it is actually your mind that controls all of the choices and the micro decisions that you make to revert back to believing what your tainted mind tells you about that substance, right? When a person who has never struggled with an addiction to a substance, I mean, they wouldn't be sitting here having this internal dialogue with themselves about whether they should ever try KRATOM again, or whether that's a good idea, or whether that's a slippery slope, or it's a bad idea. And, you know, they wouldn't be having that conversation because they've never been addicted to it, right? And that's what makes me different. That's what makes a lot of you different as well. And, you know, I just kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit today and talk to you guys a little bit today about that. You know, I knew when I started this channel and I come on here and I started talking about this, about getting off of KRATOM and this and that, I knew I was opening myself up, you know, to certain schools of thought out there, certain community, the AA and the NA community in particular, which, you know, the prevailing thought process within those groups are that you can't use any mind-altering substance, because if you're a true addict, then you have a literal inability to be able to moderate yourself when it comes to substances that are mind-altering, right? And, you know, I still continue to get comments like that. Now, listen, let me say this. You know, I had several months ago, you know, there's a difference in a troll and a person who's just expressing an opinion that they firmly believe in. Okay? I've had a little bit of both on here. And if it's someone who has a different school of thought or a different train of thought than I do, and if they come on here and they show respect and they express their opinion varies from mine. I don't necessarily agree with everything they're saying, but they did it in a respectful manner. No issue for this guy. No issue with that. And I respect those people in return, even with their varying opinions, even with their differing opinions. I've never blocked anyone. I've never deleted anyone's comment just because it's something different than what I believe. I've never done that. The only time I've ever blocked or deleted someone's comment when it was just a jackass troll who was on here just trying to throw salt at people for no reason and was just being a straight jackass about it. I don't get down with that. You can express your opinion and do it in a way that is humanly respectful and treating someone like they're a human, not like they are a dog that you're chastising for pissing on the floor, right? There's a way to do it with a certain level of tact and diplomacy, to where you're not trying to make people feel about this big when you tell them something. That's where I start running into problems with people. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But you know, again, after my video the other day, I had someone to comment, and the comment says something about saying that you're likely going to use again is not helpful. Especially if you're a true addict, you have trouble moderating any drug use, and most of your audience consists of addicts. You know, and he said something at the end about, you know, it wasn't like, again, this guy was kind of telling me, hey, I feel like the way you're going about it's wrong, but hey, you're doing great so far, good luck. That's basically what he said at the end. And I appreciated that. You know, he did it with respect. He told his opinion, you know, and his opinion on things. And you know, because I've had people jump on, and I had one guy say, when I did this video about KRATOM's tipping point, because I had one guy come on several months back, and you guys have heard me talk about this troll who came on and claimed that he was taking KRATOM all the time for extended period of time, for taking a lot of KRATOM, and he stopped and he never had any sort of withdrawals, and was telling me about how KRATOM was a botanical, was not a narcotic, and getting after me for being on here, you know, campaigning against KRATOM, you know, for views and just stuff like that. You know, probably some 19-year-old kid living in his mom's basement who's just takes an ungodly amount of KRATOM every day because he likes to get high on it. And he doesn't want people like me out here, you know, tainting the story surrounding KRATOM so that it then gets legalized and he can't keep getting high off of it, right? That's not what I'm doing. You know, I've never came on here and said that KRATOM should be outlawed, that people shouldn't be able to use a moderate amount of it. Anyway, again, that's neither here nor there. But, you know, that guy, I got rid of him, you know, because he was being an asshole about it. And I don't want people, other people, coming on here and, you know, look, I'm not even gonna talk about that guy anymore. All right. So the guy who said that about, you know, saying that you will probably use in the future is probably not helpful to a bunch of addicts who have trouble moderating. So I just want to be clear about this. And I don't necessarily disagree with what the guy's saying in most cases. But here's the thing about me is I'm not on here under false pretenses, okay? And I have said from the very beginning that I am on here trying to, the first step in recovery is getting off of said substance. I'm on here with the blueprint showing people that if you harden up a little bit in your life and you do all the other things correctly, you eat healthy, you exercise, you stick to a taper, you know, you get anyone close to you, family members, on board with you, let them know what you're doing, what's going on with you, so that you can stick to that taper. And you're honest with yourself and others, whatever, that if you do that, you can take that first step in getting completely off of something like KRATOM. Because let's get real, that's the first step. If you don't meet that step, the rest of the recovery process and the long-term recovery and the post-acute withdrawals and all this other stuff that people talk about and write home about, none of that shit matters if you can never get off of it. And undoubtedly, the initial most difficult physical part of it is just getting off of it. because it not only wreaks havoc on your mind and your brain, especially in the short term with the acute withdrawals, but it also wreaks havoc on you physically. A lot of people, especially if it's a person who's been taking a lot of it, right, for a long period of time, those people can go through some pretty hellish withdrawals, okay? And I don't like to see people stuck by something like that. And my whole thing has always on here just been a guy who is vlogging kind of my own process through it. When I first started this channel, I had gotten pretty addicted to the MIT 45s there for a while. Before the MIT 45s and then after the MIT 45s, I was taking capsules and stuff like that. I was never taking like an ungodly amount of it. You know, at my highest, maybe 10 to 13 grams per day on a regular basis, because I always took capsules. I was never one of those people that just bought a thing of powder and just shoved powder in my mouth all day. I didn't do that. I dosed on it almost like a doctor had given me a prescription or something, and I would take it 3 times a day. And it was very, very rare that I would ever take it more than that. I wasn't the type of person that, you know, would take some and then 2 hours later, oh, I can't really feel the effects anymore, and then I was popping more. I never did that. I always just dosed on it, you know. And I'm not patting myself on the back, because obviously kratom still became an issue for me to a point where I felt like I needed to come off of it, right? I don't have any, you know, intense acute physical pain to deal with. I don't have any serious, like, depression and anxiety to speak of, other than what I've self-inflicted on myself as a result of, you know, being on the whole opiate roller coaster for the last several years. You know, other than that, I don't really have any anxiety and depression to speak of. But I just want to say, if you are looking for a channel where someone has come off of something like kratom and then is going to expand on that by continuing with a long-term recovery sort of situation, then I might not be your guy, you know. And that's one thing I don't want, because I have tons of people who say they get a lot of benefit from, but the benefit people are getting from my channel is just that first step, getting your fucking ass off of it when you know that you're trapped, when you know that you're slave to it. I think it empowers a lot of people to realize, to take that first step, to even recognize that, yeah, you know, they hear what I'm saying and like, yeah, he's right. You know, I'm definitely experiencing some of those negative symptoms that he's talking about with this regular use of something like kratom. I think it might kind of help them identify that. And then seeing someone else do it and someone else motivating them to do it empowers them to know that they can also take that first step. But then after that, you know, guys, I'm not completely abstinent from everything, and I just want to be completely transparent about that. So all right, during the week, I'm pretty much completely abstinent from anything. On the weekends, including this past weekend and the weekend before that, I was not completely abstinent from everything. So this Friday night, I got home this Friday night, I did drink 1 glass of red wine, and I do not feel one bit bad about it. You know, because I was very moderate about that. The following night on Saturday is UFC night at my house. You know, my wife and I are parents to a young baby as well as a 17-year-old. We literally go from one responsibility to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. It is like that from sun up to the very moment that we lay our heads down at night. Then it continues throughout the night. It doesn't even stop when we go to bed. We wake up doing responsibilities, taking out the dogs, feeding the dogs, making my lunch. My wife's taking care of the baby. I'm getting showered, trying to get out the door so I can go to work. My wife's trying to, get my young infant to my parents' house who are watching the baby for us, for a little while during the day so she can go do some of her job. Luckily, she's in a sales sort of environment, so she has a lot more leeway with like making her own schedule and stuff, but she can't just sit at home watching the baby all day. I mean, homegirl makes a good salary, gets paid good money, so she works at the kind of place where, you know, most everybody in a sales environment, the employers have entrusted them and basically said to them, look, we know you're a go-getter. We see your sales numbers. You're obviously a person who's going to go out, kill something, drag the meat back to the cave. You don't have to have somebody over top of you micromanaging you every minute. You've shown that. And she works in a commission type environment too. So they know she's going to go out there and get it, right? So they don't have to watch over her every second to make sure that she's doing that, because she's proven, with a very successful sales track record, that she's going to do that sort of thing. So she has her own kind of leeway to be able to come and go as she pleases for the most part with her job. But she still has to get out there and beat the pavement. She still has to get out there and go see customers and go here and go there and, set up possible, business meetings with potential customers, things like that, right? She still has to do all that. So from the very moment we drag ass out of bed in the morning, we are from this responsibility to this one, 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 to this one. Then I get home, try to exercise a little bit. As soon as I get through exercising, I try to shower. Then I go and I sit down and I try to watch the baby for a little while my wife cooks dinner, because we got to eat, right? And then 2 days a week, I come home, I get home at 5:30 every day. I've been at work all day. First thing I do is I walk in, I change clothes, and then I get my oldest son and we go to kickboxing. And then we're not home till about 8 o'clock. And then I shower and I'm finished by 8:30. And then I sit down. As soon as I sit down, my wife is hopefully done with dinner by that point. We eat. 15, 20 minutes after that, we're walking the dogs, trying to get them taken care of for the evening, and then we're going in the bedroom to try to unwind and relax, to wake up the next morning and do the same shit all over again. I left out a part. All throughout the night, we're getting woken up 2, 3, sometimes 4 times by a fussy infant who's wanting to eat or have his diaper changed or anything. So I am probably have a lot more responsibility than a lot of people out there. Now, is that an excuse to use? Is that an excuse, because that's what it sounds like, right? And I get some of that on here. I get a full spectrum of comments, and I get people from the NA, AA community, oh, you can't use, that's a slippery slope. If you're doing that at all, that's a dead end road. You shouldn't be telling people about that. I'm like, dude, I'm unapologetically me. And if you're looking for someone who's going to help guide you through long-term recovery and staying off for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, the rest of your life, never using anything, then I'm probably not going to be your guy. I'm just being completely honest about that. Because I'm one of those people that, as busy and as responsible as I am as a person, if I want to have a few drinks on the weekend, I'm absolutely going to have a few drinks on the weekend. If I want to a couple of times on the weekend, I'm absolutely going to on the weekend. I'm just gonna, and you can like it, you can hate it, you can be completely, what's the word when you're not for it or you're not against it? You don't give a shit. You don't give a shit which way I am. You don't know. You don't care. But again, my whole thing on here is just to inspire people to take that first step. What you do with your recovery after that first step of getting off of something like Kratom. Because for me, I've been 100% clear about this. I drank a little bit this weekend. Definitely, I didn't drink at all yesterday on Sunday. I had one glass of wine on Friday night, maybe 2 or 3 drinks on Saturday for the whole night. So I definitely didn't go way overboard either night. And then yesterday I didn't drink any. So when I woke up this morning, I felt perfectly fine. And that's something for me with the Kratom and being caught in that Kratom trap where you're taking it all the time, every day, and you're dosing on it to a point where you kind of have some intradose withdrawals and your mood is really low when you don't take it at all. For me, that's the thing that I have to be able to curtail. That's the thing that I have to be able to control. The thing where, I take Kratom all week to get this major like mood and energy boost every day, all the time, all week. And then I go and I wake up on Monday morning and I'm just like depressed as hell because I can barely get out of bed because I'm having withdrawals. And that's the kind of thing in my life that I have to fix that, and I have to stay away from that. And for me personally, I can do that as long as I stay away from the Kratom. The other stuff, it just doesn't do enough for me. It doesn't make me feel good enough, to be honest with you, to where I just have a desire. I'll go home this afternoon and I'll have absolutely no desire to drink anything. I'll go home this afternoon, I'll get a little exercise in, and I'll have no desire to go. I just won't. I just don't. I don't ever do it during the week, and I don't ever really have a desire to do it during the week. And it's one of those things where on the weekend, it's kind of a celebration for my wife and I, another successful week. We're really, really, really busy, responsible individuals. And that's something that, I want to be able to, no pun intended, because I don't have a lot of hair, let my hair down. I want to be able to let my hair down sometimes. I work really, really, really hard in my life. Not just physically, but, emotionally, and getting up and handling my responsibilities every day. I do all that. So, but anyway, I've talked about this stuff before, and I know I'm just kind of yapping at this point. But I just want to make that clear. And I'm not so concerned about, because I had one guy when I made that Kratom's tipping point video where I was responding to the kid who was like, well, I was taking Kratom all the time. I never had any withdrawals. Quit campaigning against Kratom for views, some shit like that. And when I responded to that guy, I had somebody recently comment on that video. Now, granted, I made that video like 3 months ago, and at the time I made that video, I was still using Kratom, whatever. So I wasn't at that time in the position I am now, where I'm over 2 weeks off of it. But one guy was like, don't be such a snowflake and worry about what everybody else says about you, or worried about what everyone else is thinking. And I was like, I'm not worried about what everyone's thinking. I just wanted that guy to know that his mindset surrounding Kratom was very misguided. This guy just wanted an excuse to continue using Kratom. And he saw me as a threat to that because I was threatening his ideas about that Kratom's just completely harmless and I can use it as much as I want. And he saw, my stance and the things I was talking about as a threat to his mindset on that. And so that's why he responded the way he did. But it is not that I care what people think about me as much as I don't want to mislead anyone. And I'm on here to help people in the capacity that I'm able to help them, right? And if you're looking for someone who is going to be able to help you in the long run to continue to remain completely abstinent off of all mind-altering substances, I'm probably not going to be your guy for that, because like I said, I do still use a little bit of something else here and there on the weekends. It's not something that I do during the week. I'm just a very busy and responsible person during the week that I find that it's just too much of a hassle, to be honest, you know, during the week, between all the different things I have to do with work and, you know, coming home and then kickboxing and then helping take care of the baby and trying to get in a little bit of exercise and for my own personal physical and mental health. You know, between all of that, you know, using anything during the week I've just found it to be more of a hassle than anything. I just don't have time to do it. I don't, and so it's something I just have, my body and my mind have just kind of been trained to not really worry about it during the week. It's something I don't really think about. And during the week and even the evenings, you know, I don't even have the same sort of triggers or temptations. You know, when it happens for me is when I'm home all day on Saturday, or I'm around the house, you know, cleaning up, or I'm working on a project around the house, or, you know, just whatever it is. You know, that's when I'll have the moments where I'm like, oh, what do I do now? What do I do now? You know, make it a lot more fun, you know, working on this project or cleaning the house or getting the lawn mowed or whatever it is, if I had a little bit of, you know, and that's kind of where I'm at with it. You know, and doing something a couple of days a week. Come on, bro. Holler at me. Holler at me. You know, you're not going to have any withdrawals from that. And I don't typically have any sort of negative kickbacks from doing something a few times, couple of days a week, and then you're going the whole stretch of 5 days throughout the week and not doing it. You know, I always give the disclaimer, oh, I know I'm going to get some comments from the AA and NA community. Come on, bring it on. I know I'm going to get the comments. I always give that disclaimer, and then still, even after hearing that disclaimer, I always get a comment. I still get a comment. This last person, I mean, they didn't say specifically that they were involved with NA or AA. They didn't say that, but I could tell from their response, you know, that's kind of, and you know, people are going to do what people do, you know, and there's a lot of people out there that start watching the video, and from the very moment I open my mouth, they're looking for anything that I say that they can disagree with. You know, people will watch a 30-minute video, agree with 90% of what I'm saying, but guess what they're going to pick out to comment about? The 10% that they heard me say that could be questionably in misalignment with what they agree, what they believe. You know, that 10% is what they're going to comment on. And there's people like that out there. You know, my whole thing is, you know, it doesn't really bother me per se, but I do like to make my stance clear on here because I don't want to mislead anyone, you know, and I feel like I have some good material on here for helping people get past that first step. If you're locked into something like KRATOM, I have a KRATOM taper playlist, you know, and kind of a blueprint that people can follow to help get themselves off of KRATOM, that first leg of the journey, which is getting off of it. You know, you can't go into long-term recovery until you first get off of it. For some of you out there, that may mean getting off of it and going to NA or AA. Or for some of you, you might want to go to rehab or AA or NA before you ever even try to get off of it yourself. There's a lot of people out there who are unable to even get off of it, you know, and couldn't be sitting at the 16-day mark like I am. Not like I'm great and, you know, I'm this special, you know, strong person. It's not even that. I'm not saying that. It's just there's different levels to this shit, and people have dug themselves into different depths of the addiction hole, and anyone who says that's not the case is full of shit, because I know people out there that are so far down in that thing they can't even get themselves from 40 grams to 35 without just throwing up all kinds of questions and excuses and, well, I'm gonna do this and then I'll feel this way, and you know, and they'll think of one scenario that kind of helped them make that first step, and then when that doesn't work, that instead of digging their heels in and trying to, you know, firmly plant themselves on the ground and have a little grit and go after, they're already thinking about the next 2, 3, 4 things that they can try because that first one didn't work. When in reality, they didn't try that hard to make the first thing work, because in reality, they don't really want to come off of it. There's different levels to this shit. And you know, I could be wrong and I could be completely misguided by allowing myself to not just go completely abstinent. And I know a lot of people out there that have come off of Kratom, they are going completely abstinent when it comes to other drugs. And listen, I'm not saying that's a bad, I think that's a good thing, you know, and I think that, you know, in the end, for the majority of people, that's probably the best move. You know, I'm just saying, I want to live my life the way I want to live my life, and I'm not gonna be completely abstinent from everything. I will be completely abstinent from the things that I have really seen bore me down into that rabbit hole of addiction where I had trouble getting out of it. You know, I definitely will stay away from those things. But anyway, I'm just doing this. I'm just rattling off, just. Anyway, love you guys. Doing pretty good for being 16 days off, other than having periods of time, especially on Saturday and Sunday. Definitely had some moments where I was struggling, you know, thinking about taking Kratom. I have had some moments like that. I'll be completely transparent, but I've been able to remain strong and have not gone and gotten any. So 16 days completely off of Kratom. All right, love you guys. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below. I'll see you next time. All right, peace.